Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk, and thank you very much for joining me today. And this is the card that I've been making today. I've used a combination from things in the annual catalogue and things that are in the autumn, winter or holiday catalogue to make this card. So stay with me and I'll show you what I did. I'm going to be using a lot of ink. So I'm going to be using Whisper White and Versamark, and I'm also going to be using Night of Navy, Gorgeous Grape, Blueberry Bushel, Balmy Blue and Highland Heather. Alright, so those are going to be to put the colour layers onto my white card. I have a little scrap of vellum, and this is about, how wide's my card? That's 3 inches, so that's about 3.5 inches, so it just needs to be big enough to wrap around my my white velvet paper, and that is about, how tall is that? 3.5 inches, something like that. The size of this isn't critical, it just needs to be big enough to do what you want to do. I am going to use the Hearts Come Home stamps, which is one of my favourites from the annual catalogue. The Hometown Greetings, I think it's called, thinlets, and silver embossing powder. I'm using the stamp of Santa and his reindeer from the Hearts Come Home stamp set, and I'm just going to line that up on my coloured paper, which has had a lot of time to dry. It's been a couple of days because I really saturated that with ink, and I didn't want that to come off where I didn't want it to. I have my Whisper White craft ink, and I'm just lightly inking up Santa and his sleigh. Now I know the stamp is stained, but I have tested it, and the black doesn't come off. I'm just going to wipe around the edge of that. Normally I wouldn't bother doing this, but because I'm going onto a textured surface, I'm going to be extra special careful. Okay, so now I'm going to press that down. And Stamparatus is my best friend here because I am going to have to do this a few times because it's white ink, and although it is a pigment ink, it's still white, and also I'm going on to a textured surface. So without the Stamparatus or something similar, this would not be possible. And as you can see, it is lifting up some of the colour. So I'm going to do this. Oh, well, this is the third. I'm going to do maybe 4 attempts. I think one more, particularly over Santa here. I think one more will do it. Particularly on dear old Santa. Whoops. Okay. Alright, so I think that's going to be good enough. Shall I do one more for luck? Just going to ink up Santa a bit, because I think the reindeer are okay. I'm just going to give Santa a little bit more ink. There we go. So I'm happy with that. Just going to clean off my stamp using my Simply chamois, and yes, as you can see, it is well loved, but it still works great. So here is my piece of vellum. held down with a magnet in my Stamparatus, and I'm just going to line up my stamp. I'm going to try and pretty much center it onto between the two edges of the vellum. And the grid, because I'm using vellum, I can see through it, so the grid is helping me to get it even and straight, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to pick that up onto the plate of the Stamparatus. Embossing ready, because I'm going to be heat embossing this. Lots of embossing ready. Get my embossing powder ready. And let's ink this up with Versamark. Now, if you're ever stamping on vellum, and I think I say this every time I stamp on vellum, you need to be aware that vellum is not very absorbent. It's almost like acetate, not quite as bad, but in terms of how long it takes to dry on it, it takes a very, very long time. So you're always better off with vellum. It's either using something like Stays On or heat embossing. And if you're using a coloured ink, then you can clear heat emboss over the top of it. But otherwise, it just takes ages for ink to dry on vellum. Okay, and it's hard to see how well that's taken, so I hope it's taken well, because I'm now moving the vellum, and fortunately for me, it looks okay. So I'm just going to cover that over with my silver embossing powder. There we go. Maybe a little bit more at this end. So that's tapped off the excess. I've got my heat tool and a clothespin to hold the vellum in. Stop me burning my fingers, because I usually forget. Right, heat gun is going to go onto top speed, number 2, because this is a 2-speed glue gun, and heat gun, and when it's warmed up, I will heat emboss the vellum. I'm going to turn the sound down for this one because it does get a little bit noisy. With my stamped and embossed piece of vellum, I'm going to take this die and I'm going to go over to my big shot and I'm going to cut that out. Be right back. Here they are. And I'm just going to extend, just going to fold that over so I can see where it's going. And I'm just going to extend that cut so that it goes right to the edge of the vellum. And the same thing on this side. Just fold that over so I can see how the line runs. And there we are. So here is my die cut piece of vellum, and I'm just lining it up with where I want it onto my card, and I'm just going to fold the edges round. Now I actually was going to use this piece of velvet paper for something else, and I wanted it to be self-adhesive, so I covered the back of it with one of the double-sided adhesive sheets, but it doesn't actually need to have all of that on, so all I've done is just peel the adhesive backing off and just kind of stuck it down. But if I hadn't put the adhesive sheet on, all I would have done would have been to stick that down with some ordinary tape. Okay, so that is, I I looked at that and I thought, do you know what, that is a little bit plain. You can just about see the greeting there. Yeah, that's kind of working. And I went into my bits box and I found some of these. Now these are small pieces that I cut out for another project using this die, which is the Blizzards in that die. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to use those because I think this needs a little bit of extra blinginess. And this is going to take my liquid adhesive, which has gone for a little bit of a walk. Here it is. And I've got my my picker upper tool, my pick me up, with plenty of tape coming out of one end, and I've got the kind of the spatula attachment on the other, and I'm just going to put some spots of glue here and there, and I'm just going to add in my little snowflakes. And here's my front panel, and all I need to do now is to stick it on to my base card. So I'm going to pull back the backing that I've got on the self-adhesive backing, and I've put some double-sided tape over where I've covered that backing with the vellum, just to make sure that it does stick down all of the way. I'm just arranging that the way I want it onto my backing card. Yeah, that's getting in my way too much, so let's throw caution to the winds and just go for it. I'm just sticking that down. And yeah, something seems to have gone a bit peculiar with my measurements there. I've got a longer base at the bottom than I was expecting, but yeah, I'm just going to trim that off and we'll be finished. So there it is. There is my finished card, and that is it for today. I do thank you very, very much for staying with me to the end, and if you've enjoyed this video, then please do click that like button, because that does help me a great deal. Or why not even subscribe to my channel, because I do post videos twice a week. But for now, once again, thank you very, very much for joining me, and I hope I'll see you again sometime soon. Bye bye.